So we're going to get started with our MLS Monday. Today's on prospecting and lead generation with the MLS. I learned some things last time they did this with, drawing maps of places and around areas that you want to look at. So they're going to go into more depth about that. We always love interaction on these MLS Mondays. So if you have any questions, raise your hand. Put it in chat, and we will answer Dave and Mark will answer your question. And then Alicia always puts super helpful links in the chat box, other trainings that MLS is doing. And then just as a teaser, next month, we're going to give you a walkthrough of the new matrix layout, correct?
Well, yeah, the new Matrix CMA, we're hoping. It's a brand new CMA they've come out with. They've really modernized it. David and I got sneak peeks at it months ago while it was still in development. And it looked good coming off the production line. So we'll see what they deliver here within the next 30 days.
Awesome. Okay. Well, take it away. Again, we've got, I'm going to make you, Mark, and Alicia, and Dave all co-hosts.
Oh, perfect.
But I'll be here in the background as well.
Okay.
Is this every Monday? No, we don't do this every Monday. We do this the fourth Monday of the month. We have an MLS Monday, but we are recording it so that you can go back and watch it if you want to go back. So take notes, but also you can go back and watch it.
Sounds good.
Oh, hi, Mika. All right. Okay, take it away, everyone, Mark and Dave.
Sounds good. And Dave, we've got a lot of different ways for our subscribers, the SCORE members, to reach out to us. We have the show we're doing tomorrow, open forum. That's a good place to come and get that one question answered, or, hey, tell me about mapping, right? You've got a brand new show you just started called Coffee Talk. That's the first Monday of every month, I think at 11 a.m. That's another one of those. Come on in, ask any question you want.
Yeah, exactly. Just more flavors and more opportunities come in, and maybe you just want to ask one question. You don't have an hour to stay, and just want something answered. Hey, come on in. We'll get you answered, get you out. But and we're gonna have Robert Bustamante, our director of compliance, on for the Coffee Talk, which is 11 a.m. first Monday of the month, so
Yep.
March 3rd. But yeah, tomorrow we got Dave Wetzel, our CEO and president, at the open forum, and yeah, you can pop on in. You don't have to. You can keep the camera off. You can just pop in a little question in chat if you like.
It's pretty casual.
So right, or somebody just like to hang out and kind of hear what's going on. So whatever your preference is.
Yeah, well, however you like to learn or get your information, I think we've got an avenue for it with a lot of different types of internet shows available to you. So, but Dave, let's dive down into. I need to find a farm, or I've got a neighborhood I really like, and I'd like to keep an eye on it, figure out what its performance is, and then really stepping towards. You're going to show us, hey, in this neighborhood, it's the 3-bedroom homes at about 1,000 square feet that are selling. Who owns all the rest of those 1,000 square foot homes in that neighborhood?
Yeah, we're gonna blend tools here, right? So we're gonna use Matrix to find out, hey, what's selling, right, and where, and really, and the nice thing is you can do it wherever you want to do it, right? So, and you can do it whether it's condo, townhouse, or single families. And so we'll show you, hey, this is what's selling and where. And once we know that, okay, it's that 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's selling in the last 30 days here, right? 30 or 60 days. With this much square footage, then we can go into our tax platform Realist and say, hey, let's pull out all those homeowners, right, that have got the exact same type of house, right? Builds a nice narrative to a potential seller, right? You got the exact same type of house that's selling right now, that 3-2 with that much square footage. And then we'll take it a step further because Realist added last year some really nice premium mapping tools.
The premium mapping. Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's some cool stuff too. Now, you notice I'm starting off on the new Pro dashboard.
Yeah.
Right?
Dave,
start there, Mark.
Yeah, Dave, you better update us on the new dashboard because times they are changing.
They are. And I was the boy who cried wolf, I felt like, for a long time. I was going into every meeting like, you got to get over to this new dashboard. We're taking away this old Pro button. And we just got word, I think July 1st is the date we got.
Yep.
So
It's
you
gonna
don't
be
want to
right in that
come.
July, first
Yeah,
half of July timeframe. Yep.
yeah, so early July, right? So don't get to July and not have this over here, and then all of a sudden have that rug pulled out from underneath it. Because this old Pro button right here, it will be gone in July, and so hopefully everyone's using. This is a better platform than new Pro dashboard we got here. But I recommend everybody take the little quick tour right here, or just shoot us an email at prodev@mlslistings.com, and we'll get you all set up, right?
Yeah.
So now. I'm going to first off here, so I'm going to jump right into Matrix. We'll get going here. I got Matrix right here on my speed bar. Another nice thing about having this new Pro dashboard, this little customized bookmarks button. Get everything, everything you use a lot. We've got Matrix search. I got Realist. I've got RPR. I got Pro support, AccuList, right? And we'll take a look at some AccuList reports. After we do this, maybe you need some free marketing. What are you going to send out to these
Good point.
people? Maybe we got some Oculus reports that are free and unlimited. So we'll take a look at that too. So let's go ahead, Matrix search, pop on in. Now, I'm just going to ask for sold properties here. And, if you're any new agents are out there, right, you got to put in that COE day because we do have 22, 23 years of sold data. So the easy way I do it, you can use this little calendar if you want. Nice simple way to do this, zero minus method, zero minus. I'm going to go 30 days. How about that? Let's see what's going on the last 30 days. Now, we
It's
haven't,
January though. It's
it's,
we're looking at
yeah,
January data. Things are coming to life, in
exactly.
January.
And if you've taken advantage of our Activist weekly reports, you've noticed that a trend that we've got a lot of new listings
Yeah.
going on here in the last week or so. And very encouraging, that's post Super Bowl. So we kind of expect we'll get into that time where we get a bit more inventory, but really encouraging the amount of new listings, right? A lot higher than the last couple of years. That's fantastic. But I might, so I might go 30 or 60 days. I really don't want to go any more than that because what happens when you start getting into 90 days it's just kind of almost like when you're doing a CMA, different market, right?
Yep.
That happened 90 days ago. And so our market's very dynamic. I don't want a 90-day ago market. I want to know what's going on our last 30 or 60 days.
Right.
Now, having said that, this does work better when I have more data. So, there's nothing wrong with maybe going 60 days out.
Okay.
But I'm going to choose single families here,
And
right?
Dave, you
Yeah,
chose sold only because you're really looking for the performance of a neighborhood, of a city, right? What was that final big number that it actually
yeah.
transacted or went through?
Exactly. Yeah. So I choose. So now, if you wanted to, you could throw actives on there. If maybe you
Okay.
want to analyze, hey, what kind of competition? Because
Oh, good
really,
point.
I'm going to start looking once I go into our map. I'm going to it's my canvas. I'm going to start cutting out neighborhoods. You know. So if I wanted to also, hey, if I want to get into this neighborhood, I'll have all the numbers on the sold portion. All right. I'll know what's going on in the market in that neighborhood. But also, what about competition? Right. What kind
Right.
of competition do I have out there? So there's nothing wrong with that as well. Now, I'm not going to put anything in here right there, right? So
Right.
beds,
No beds, no
baths,
baths, no.
right?
Yeah.
If I was doing a regular search, and I'm looking for inventory, I do it. But I'm kind of the thing about what we're going to use is we want the system, real-time matrix data, to tell us the answer, right?
Right.
Of what's going on. So I'm going to leave all that blank. I am going to need to put in a location here, kind of just I could go whole county, city. I'll probably go, I'll use San Jose just because it's a lot of data here. But the same applies. I could go Sunnyvale. I could go, Cemetery, wherever I want to go, Palo Alto. The whole process is the same, right? So I'm going to just choose San Jose because I've got a lot of data here. It's an example here. You can see I've got 205
205.
matches there.
Yeah.
So that's the last 30 days, single families that have sold, right? Now, let's go right to our results. And so I'm going to pop into the results here. Here we go. Okay. And so now, first off, I like to do is just get a baseline of the whole. Now, San Jose is a really big city, I know. So, this part of it, right, would be better if I was in Sunnyvale or a smaller city. Michelle Rocco would scold me because, this is we really have to get in the neighborhoods, and that's what we're going to do. But
Right.
stats and tabular right down at the bottom here.
I like the way by looking at the biggest picture possible, when you're talking to your client, your buyer or your seller, you can start the discussion with, okay, here's all of San Jose. But
Right.
let's dig down a little farther into the neighborhoods that you like, right? So you're setting sort of a baseline for them of here's the big picture. Now let's dive into what you want to talk about.
Exactly. Right. Kind of like a nice baseline. Hey, you know what? You're this neighborhood's outperforming, right? The old San Jose in general. Um, and so you can see 205. The way you read this, if you've never used Stats Tabular before, right? I'm on basic right here. I'm going to see the basic median. I'm going to throw median on there. And so you can see here 205 single families, right, have sold last 30 days. And the way you read this here is I'm really going to be focusing on the average and the medium, but this isn't one reading left to right on the minimums and maximums. That's the minimum and maximum of the whole aggregate 205 listings. So it's not saying there was one listing, right, that had a list price of 5.5 million that was on the market at 219 that right that's that this is out of those 205 there was one listing with 7 bedrooms, right, 5 baths. That's how you kind of read that. But when I'm reading the average or median, yeah, I am going to be reading left to right here. So let's see here. So what I basically, the answer here to San Jose last 30 days, right? You can see here the median price 1.698, so just about 1.7 million coming on the right is coming on the market. List price coming off the market 1.8, right? 1.810. So nice, all right? A few percent above asking price. How long is it taking to sell? 8 days, right?
Wow.
Um, wow, that is quick.
In January,
In
8 days.
January, yeah, eight
Okay.
days. So
Um,
fantastic, right? And 4 bedroom, 2 bath homes, right?
okay. And
And square
that's
footage,
and that's
1,600.
sort of critical, those last three numbers. 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,600
Right.
square feet plus or minus, right? Because that's what the buyer wants to buy.
Right. That's telling you right there. That is what's flying off the shelves, right?
Right.
Last 30 days. That's what people are buying, right?
Right. Now that's
Um,
for the whole city, for the whole
That's
city
for
of
the
San
whole
Jose.
city, right? And
Right.
San Jose, like I said, is big, so we're going to get into the neighborhoods here. And that's another nice thing is we can apply this stats tabular at the neighborhood level as well.
Cool.
Now, before we do that, a lot of agents like to use average, right? And so if you are using the average, you can tell there's a big difference. 18 days on the average, right?
Right.
Right. I mean, and because the average, right, the median is that midpoint, right? And that average, right, is that can have maybe an outlier. So if
Well,
you
yeah,
are
look at go
using
2 slots up to something was it
two
219 days
two
on
and a
market.
19,
Yeah.
exactly, right? So that can skew things, right? And
Yeah.
that's basically why the difference of 10 days. So if you are using the average, let me just go hit the back button real quick, and we'll go ahead and I'll click on the DOM
Yeah.
again.
Who was that 219?
There it
There it
is.
is. Ingram Court.
289 Ingram Court with 219 days on the market. Now, it doesn't take 219 days typically to sell in our markets, right? I mean, you saw it taking 8 days, So obviously, these are the kind of outliers we'd want to throw out of our stats if we're looking at it. And so, I can use this refine button right here, click on it, and I can select, okay, maybe I want to throw this, 190 days out, right? So I can throw those really egregious ones out, right? But it's another nice thing because, Mark, we always, we throw around these terms of, be the market expert and all that,
Right.
right?
Right.
And this really allows you to have that conversation like you are that market expert, maybe when you're not even too familiar with an area, because you can have that conversation and say, look, yeah, we're selling in 18 days, but that's because of that property over on Ingram, right? Or
Yeah,
that property
exactly.
over on Park, right? That took 200 days to sell,
Right.
right?
Ingram backed up to the highway or Park hadn't been updated, in decades. You really get to tell the story of those outliers. And like you say, Dave, now my client knows I watch every listing.
Exactly. Right. So that way hey, everything, right, going on in this neighborhood per property, basically.
Right.
Right. So it's a great way to make you into that. Hey, I'm the market expert in this area. Right. Now I can hit that refine and I can discard that button if I want to discard, and I can toss those out, and then I can always rerun my numbers. Right.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see what they turn out to be because they're going to shift pretty dramatically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And well, basically, we kind of know because what's the median? 8 days,
Eight.
right? So the more of these we get rid of, the more that quicker that's dropping down to that 8 days,
Correct.
basically, right? Is what's happening there. So if you do use it, right, you can do that. Now, another thing is when I look at sold data, I like to go ahead and this is my sale price, right? But what did it come on the market, as and did
Oh,
that?
Original
exactly
price.
the original price. So
Yeah.
you might want to, if you want to do this, I like to do it. I like to go ahead, put your cursor. I don't know what this thing's called, Mark. Uh,
It's like a
you know,
four-pointed cross, a
yeah,
four-pointed
I'm sure it
arrow.
has a fancy name, but
Yeah.
like ampersand or whatever the heck.
Michelle Ronco would know.
Would know, but you left mouse click when you see that up there, anywhere up here, and that allows you to insert columns there. So insert column. All right, go to search. Right, type in the word
Original.
ratio or original. Right, I know ratio because ratio gives me not
Oh,
only that
this.
or
Yeah.
but also gives me that original list price, that ratio. So what I like to do is hit apply so that now I've got. Oh, did I select the same one? Uh,
You went one to the last. The first one is for the last price it was. The second one is for the original price
yeah.
it was. So, you can see if the original ratio is lower than the last list ratio, they started out at a higher
Yeah.
price. Yeah.
And so I can go in here and I'll put insert column and let's throw in there. I'll type in original there. Like I said, original list
There it
price,
is,
right?
original list price. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can have that original list price
There you
compared
go.
to my sale price, and sandwiched in between there, I'll clean it up a little bit, is that ratio. So like you say, Mark, 1.0, if it came on the market at a million, sells for a
Right?
million, ratio is 1.0, right?
Correct.
Uh, if it's anything above 1.0, means it's sold above asking price. Anything below 1.0, sold below asking price, right?
Gotcha.
Which is nice because I could go ahead, I could filter these, click it again here, so that I could, oh, wow. Because the way to read that here, obviously that's a mistake. I
Yeah.
have a
And
feeling
thank
that
goodness
should be
that's a
one
Bay
point.
East. That's a Bay East MLS
Look at
mistake, not
that.
an MLS
We'll,
listings
we'll have to clean
mistake.
that up. Yeah, yeah. Someone in Bay East did that. Shame on them. That should be 1.499, right? And so that one I'd probably refine, delete that. But point is, when you look at 1 point, let's say 441, that's saying 44% above asking, right? When you see 1.287, basically it's 29% above
Correct.
asking. So easy ways to do it. When you see 0.97, that's 97% of the list price, right?
Right.
So
Once
it's
again,
just a
another
nice
great
way.
way to be that market expert. Get down into the numbers. Let your buyer and seller know. No, I know, I watch the prices. I understand the relationship of original to last. These are all just good selling points for yourself.
Exactly, exactly. And if you wanted to, you could even click on these guys, right? So I have all the, let's say I have all the ones that are above asking, and
Right.
then I can hit the map, right? And now I can see, okay, there's now I
There
know
they are.
geographically where those neighborhoods are that's selling really above asking, right? So more information for you, right? Um, so let me go back to my results here, and I'm just gonna go ahead. So let's go back now and let's go to our map here, right? And we can go and zoom on in here.
Yeah, where's
Um,
that hot neighborhood? That one right there. Look at
there's
Pine,
a
that
there's a
Pine
yeah
Avenue area.
there's a lot of them here. you
Yeah.
know.
Been a busy day
So
in Cambrian.
yeah, so I could go here. Let me see, where 85. I go all over the place here, and it's really just where do I want to go ahead. And
Yeah.
here's a couple that were above asking here. Maybe like for instance right here, right? I'm just going to go ahead and take a polygon. Now this is really where you can go ahead and start just cutting out neighborhoods, right?
Okay.
And like I said, it's kind of like a canvas here. So if I come across here and I go here, I go here, right? Now look at the differences though. If I went criteria and I threw on 60 days, let's see if there's a big difference here,
Yeah, did we
right?
pick any more up? Yeah, we
And
did. I think we picked up three more in that neighborhood.
yeah, we did. So you can see here, so a little extra data here. If I go ahead and do it, you can see this guy popped in there. I think a couple of other ones here, right? And
You bet.
um, so now that I'm just doing this, I would go around and, like I said, start cutting out neighborhoods until you find the one you really like, right? So for the sake of time, let's just say, well, let's run the neighborhood and see if we actually like this neighborhood, right? So I'm going to go back to actions. I'm going to go stats. I'm going to go tabular right here, right? Okay, so now I've got, I'm looking at those 7 solds, right, in the last 2 months, right? And here's the data. I'm going to throw that median on there again. There we go. So this
Yeah,
market here,
it
right,
sells faster. It's selling
even
faster than the
faster,
whole
one day
city.
faster, right?
Yeah.
And so you can see here, so coming on the market, 1.5 million. coming off the market at 1.725. Wow. Right. Only taking 7 days to sell. And what's selling? Well, now these homes are slightly smaller, a 3 bedroom,
Yeah.
2 bath. Right. And I'm going to write this down. These are metrics I want to write down. My memory isn't the same as it used to, Mark. three
That's what the
bedroom, two
MLS will
bath.
do to you.
I tell you. And what's the square? 1,300 square foot.
13. Oh, we lost 300 square feet here.
So we
Almost,
lost them. So
almost
yeah,
350 square feet, right?
yeah.
But there's
So
there's that extra room, that extra bedroom.
exactly.
It was probably in that drop in square footage total.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting when you start cutting out these neighborhoods, and looking at the numbers and just seeing, you just go a mile over is completely different, maybe from the neighborhood you were looking at a second ago.
Correct.
And so that's why we really want to get into nowadays. It's really nobody's looking at kind of the county level anymore. Everyone's really zooming in, hyper local, right, neighborhood to neighborhood here. And so we've got it. So I'm going to write that down: 3 bedroom, 2 bath homes, right? 1,300 square feet, right? That's what I want to know right now. Because now we're going to jump into realist in a second. And now that we know what's selling, and we're going to use the public records, and we're
Right.
going to start pulling out all these homeowners, right? And not only are we going to pull out of the homeowners who have the 3 bedroom, 2 bath with this kind of square foot range, right? But we're also going to go ahead and say, hey, I want them maybe in the house for, let's say,
Oh yeah.
15 years, 10, 15, 20 years, right? Empty nesters, that kind of a thing, right? And even more above that, I can use the premium mapping tools to even go beyond that, right? So you can see it's really cool stuff here. So,
So Dave, before we jump over,
yeah,
let's open up the chat. Does anybody want to raise their hand, and do they have a question, or just shout it out?
yeah.
Because
Let me make sure I'm not going too fast. Make sure everyone's still there with us. And if there's any questions, no reason to wait.
I don't
Go
see
ahead.
anything in the chat yet. If anybody has any questions, please feel
Sure.
free to come off mute.
Gotcha. And we'll of course open it up in the end for Q&A as well. And Jody said she's recording, which is fantastic. Okay. So and one other point I want to make is, the size of your marketing campaign is really up to you as well, right, Mark?
absolutely.
So, whether I choose this size more or if I want to expand it or go smaller, right, is going to be, because remember, there's going to be hundreds of houses we're looking at, right? Especially the more zoomed out, sometimes you don't realize that you cut out an area and you don't realize, oh my goodness, so you really can control just by the criteria, right? Especially when we even go to realist tool, where we're going to start putting in, the square footage ranges and things. It
Right.
really is up to us how big of a, we want to keep it true to the market, right? 3 bedroom, 2 bath, but, do I want to go keep it really tight, and maybe 100 square feet from what it is, or do I open it up for a couple hundred square feet, right? So those are the decisions we can make. But the
Right.
great thing is we can monitor our results to see what kind of results we're getting, right? As we make these changes here. So, okay,
We've got a question from Tracy, Dave. She
yeah.
says, from the list, where do I go to basic market stats? That sounds like she's talking the stats tabular. Can you back
Sure.
one step up to results? Um,
Gotcha.
so that's the
And
list.
right. So whenever you're doing a matrix search, at the bottom, whether you're on the criteria, or actually, sorry, the results or the map, right?
Right.
Either one, the stats button at the bottom and tabular is right there.
Okay.
That's what we do. So
A table
either
of
one.
statistics. Okay.
Right. You're always going to have that. And that's going to give you that breakdown. And then you can select it from basic to medium, right? But it's on both the results always at the bottom and the map. And
Good.
you'll see a
Hey,
stats tabular.
a big thank you from Tracy.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Tracy.
Sending out a day.
Sure.
Thank you. And David, while you're still here, I think it's important, that topic or that idea of, all the eggs in one basket. Segment your markets a little bit, right? We know we're working 3 2s at roughly 1,300 square feet here. Maybe you find another neighborhood where you're working 4 and 5 bedroom
Oh, yeah.
homes, maybe in the 1.7 to $2 million bracket, right? Diversify your marketing. Um,
Oh, yeah.
within, I want to be south of 85, but I want a diversified market that I'm working in.
Exactly. And that's why I said it's kind of like a canvas, right?
Yeah,
Get all this data on there, and then I'm starting to cut out neighborhoods until I have the ones. And if I want to save them too, remember, you can save it down here at the bottom, right? Save it after you've got your neighborhood all set, and make it easier on yourself, so you don't have to go back in and find the neighborhood and everything. You get the
good
save
point.
button right there.
Save button.
Um,
Yep.
Now, a little trick here because we're gonna hop into Realist. Grab a property. See right there in the middle there.
Yeah, that
5307. Okay. I'm just gonna write that down. 5307 Joseph, is it?
yep.
All righty. Because it can be kind of tedious to go ahead and zoom in on a map, and especially when if you maybe it's the first time coming into Realist, you're gonna be all the way zoomed out, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to have to zoom on in. It's gonna take 5 minutes, finding the neighborhood, right? Because I'm gonna mimic this exact neighborhood, right?
Right.
And so this way I can just go ahead and go right to it. You'll see
Good
here when I
tip.
do it.
Really good
Um,
tip. Okay, we're
Realist right
going to
there.
Matrix, or excuse me, we're going to Realist. We
Go
were
to
in
Realist.
Matrix.
There it is right there. I got
Right?
it on my speed bar. So let's click on Realist. It's going to take
And
me
for
on
those of
in.
you that are, maybe just started with the MLS, David, Realist is every house in the state of California.
Exactly.
It is
Very
all
powerful.
58 counties are in this database, and you can look up individual homes by searching for the address, or you can search neighborhoods just like you do in Matrix.
Yep, it's a very powerful tool. If you're not using it, you really need to start going in there, playing around. All right, we teach it, and because it's so powerful. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
this
hit
is one of
search
those
right there.
must-haves.
Yeah, this is definitely a must-have. And so I'm in there now. First things first. You can see here, I'm on in here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jump into that, but first counties right here. See, I got Santa Clara County. So go in there, make sure you've got the county selected,
Okay.
right? Otherwise, you're not going to get the data, right? And so you might be sitting there and you may tearing your hair out, going, "Why am I not getting it?" Well, you didn't, have the county, especially with the premium map tools. You can have up to 5 counties on here at a time, and so a lot of times when I'm just doing searching, I have our 5 counties, surrounding counties up there. But when you're using the premium map tools, you can only focus one county at a time, okay? And it will tell you if you try to use it and you got multiple counties selected, it's too much data. It can't handle it, okay? And so we'll say select one county. So I'm going to just select Santa Clara County because that's where we're prospecting in right now. And just make sure, otherwise you would select it, it's alphabetical order, hit apply, and you're all set, right? So Santa Clara, California. Now let's go ahead and let's put in that address, right? Which is right here, I believe. Okay, locate on the map. There we go. So I'm going to click that, and look at this. I can just pop in
There you go. Nice.
5307
And it's
Joseph.
good. There it is. It popped up already.
Oh, have already found it?
Yeah, go back a couple of characters, backspace a couple of times, and it's out there
There it
looking
is.
for an answer.
Joseph Lane, San
Yeah.
Jose. Okay. And there, hell, I was already right there on my map. But normally, if I was over somewhere else, right, boom, uh, it would
It's
really
gonna
save me a lot
drag
of
you
time.
back. Yeah.
So yeah, and so now that I'm centered in there, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. There I am, nice and easy, right? Now I can use my cutting tools right here, just like in Matrix. And in this case, I'll use a polygon tool. And I believe I was right here. I just came across 85, went down there, came across, and that's pretty much the area I was in, right? So I'm in the exact same area as Matrix was, right? You could also, if you're looking at here, you could just, maybe if you wanted to, you could always, write down, okay, this street, right? And just so you know, but I like to just grab the the address, center it, and then I know where I'm at. But we're in Realist here, so there we go. So that's my area. Now, let's go ahead. And so the first thing here on the left, now you can see I can save this. So definitely once you've, put in your parameters, save it. So because like Mark mentioned, maybe you might have 3 different, right? 3 or 4 different ones, right? So save it each time, give it a name, so that you come in a couple weeks. All you have to do is bring it right up, right? Save yourself all that time. Now I'm going to go come down here. And so we're going to get to the premium map tools in a second, but you can see I've already got some things in here. Now you can hit customize search, you can see, and you can add things in here.
Just like
Excuse me.
Matrix, right? You can add in
Yeah,
advanced fields.
these are filters, right? And you can see here, so I can put all types of filters in here, right? And so you just go click the filters you want and you hit apply, right? based off what you need. Now, bedrooms here. So I'm going to switch it from is between to is, and I'm going to say, what, 3 bedroom,
It's
right?
a three. Yeah.
And oops, there we
And Dave, as
go.
you're filling this in, this goes back to your point of you can search real tight to the stats tabular number you got, 3 bedroom, 2 bath at 1,300 square feet, or you can give it a little wiggle room. I want
Exactly.
between 3 and 4
Oh, sure.
at 1,200 to 1,500, right? You got room to wiggle on this.
Oh yeah, I usually start with being really refined, so just to see what kind of results I got.
Gotcha.
But let's say I'm not getting the kind of results. Yeah, mix it up, give yourself a little more leeway room, right?
Yeah.
And maybe give yourself a little range there,
It's
right?
like asking, what if? What if I
Exactly.
increased
What
it?
if I exactly? And
Uh,
look right here, 881. Wow. So that's a
wow.
lot of properties right now. Just
That's a good
3 bedroom,
start.
2 bath, right? So that's 3 bedroom, 2 bath in this area, 881 properties,
Okay.
right? Now I'm going to go down here because square footage is the next metric I want to do. Now I am going to use a metric for this,
Yeah, we're
right?
going to use a range. Okay.
Right. And so it was 1,300. Now here's where, if I wanted to, let's say I go down 200, so 1,100 as an example, right? And up 200, right? To 1,500. So now I'm basically, no matter what way, I'm 200 square foot away, right? Up and down from that
Yeah,
1,300.
and you still got 630 prospects, right? Um,
Yeah.
630 potential clients.
So now I'm down to 630, right? Um, if I hit the search button, it would put those on the map, right? I'm
Okay.
going to do a little more refining here, though. So now let's use our premium map tools here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, right? You can see now it's starting to get into that parcel level. And let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and click on. Now here's where you can see all the options. I have all types of options: home equity,
Okay.
mortgage rate, mortgage age. Let's use. I always like to start home ownership. I mentioned it earlier, right? And so ownership, because I want them in the property for a certain amount of years. So I can go ahead. I want them in, let's see, 10 to 15 years, and I'll select 15 to 20 years.
You can select
And
multiple. Nice.
and you
Okay.
can see how
Oh,
now
there
the
they
map is
are.
starting to populate, right? And so it color coding these accordingly, right? And so it's really nice because I can get a nice visual. So if I wanted to, I could even go in. I cut out this kind of a larger neighborhood. I could even start really getting into the neighborhoods and going in the neighborhood of the neighborhood, right?
Right.
Just
Right.
based on, oh wow, look at some of these guys over
And
here,
Dave,
right?
if you actually zoomed in and you clicked on one of those color parcels, it brings up the data
Oh
for that
yeah.
parcel, right?
Yeah, if I click on his parcel, it would bring it up. I'd have to zoom in a little bit, and then I could actually go ahead and click on it, and it could bring me in once I'm zooming in and tell me, okay, this is the address, and I
Gotcha.
could bring up
Okay.
that specific parcel,
Okay.
right?
I have a
You,
question.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Hi.
Does it also provide the likelihood of someone moving out of that neighborhood or the turnover rate or whatever?
Well, it does, yes. And so good question. Another thing it does have, you might notice is this, it's called cell score. That's their proprietary algorithm. And what it is that it's the likelihood that they believe the property will be on the market within 6 months. Now I can't tell you all the sausage that goes into that grinder, right? I don't know what their algorithm is, but that's what it is. And actually
Right.
I can use that as well. So
And
um
but Dave, key things we know they're factoring in how long have you lived there? How, and how long is that? How big is the mortgage? Because they work on averages and medians as well. I mean, they're crunching massive amounts of data
oh yeah,
that
exactly.
say on average somebody owns their home for this many years. If their mortgage is at this level, they're more than likely to move in comparison to somebody who just bought the house.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and I could have done here. So the thing is, too, look and see right now, I'm down to 132. So I went
Right.
down, right? I started with 800, whittled it down to 600, and now we're down to 132, right? And that 132, right? If I hit that search button here, it's gonna put it on that 132 is those properties with the 3 bedroom, 2 bath with the square
Okay.
footage I wanted, right? And also that they're in the house for at least right 10 to 20 years here. right?
Gotcha.
And that represents that. Now, I could take a step further, because the thing is about the premium apps is you can only use one at a time, right?
Right.
However, I do have, you can see if you scroll down here, I've added a couple things here. Recording date. So if I wanted to, instead of using the premium app, I could have went recording date and said, give me all the properties, that have that was 20 years. I could use the date, right, for that ownership. And
Right.
said, I
Thus
want
opening up the
everybody.
premium map
Right.
for another
And then use the
category.
premium map for a different one,
Gotcha.
right? Because I could have used cell score in there as well. But you might also notice I also have cell score right
Yeah,
here.
there's a right there. Yeah.
So I could have used, so I can that way I can use multiple. I could use cell score, ownership, and then use my premium map for equity if I wanted to, right? Um, so the point is I'm going like 3 layers deep on my filter there, right?
Right.
Um,
And
so
Dave, what you're really doing is you are, for lack of a better term, you are scientifically dissecting a neighborhood to determine market opportunity so you know where to place yourself in the eyes and how to engage, where to engage on it rather than just sort of
right.
throwing it all out there and hoping it sticks to something. You're diving into specific areas of specific neighborhoods based on MLS data, which is the most accurate data you can get for sales transactions. Um, you're not met, you got to spend some time at this. This is not something you just want to breeze through quickly. This is going to
Right.
set up your marketing plan for 6, 8, 12 months.
Yeah, yeah, it's so powerful. And when you're going in here, it's not only are you getting all this data, it's good data, right? Because of that real-time matrix data, but you're also, you're building that easy conversation, that easy narrative with these potential sellers, right?
You bet.
Because they literally, hey, they've got the 3.2, they've got the 1300, right? Right. You have all these metrics, all this information here. And what's nice here is, let's say now for here, I had some. Let's say, okay, I'm happy with this. I'm going to go ahead. I'm happy with 132, right? I can go down here. I can export the data if I want to, right? But I also have this labels button. I can click labels, and you can see here, all I have to do is buy the label, the Avery 51. These are the top 3 labels, basically selling labels. You buy those, put in your printer, and then I can go ahead. Now I could create a custom label, or I could just use the current owner, right? If I would creating a custom label, maybe if I was going after renters instead of homeowners, maybe maybe I've got listing. Hey, I got the listing now. Great. And then I want to go ahead and send my flyer out to all the renters within a mile of my property, right? I can pull out all those renters, right? Just by saying, toggling owner occupied, yes or no. And so I can hit the create button, and there it is. And oops, sorry about that. I believe there it's. Did I get my labels on here? There it is, and there's my labels.
Good.
Right. So now
Nice.
I could slap that on her, right? Very easily. And in a second, we're going to give you some free marketing. But just to show you here, what I also could have done here, just to bring up that cell score and things. Here, let's go ahead and I'll toggle. Let me toggle those off there. There we go. And I could have again used let me grab
One of the other
right.
options, right?
There's cell score, for instance, right? So here's cell score, and you can see. So maybe I want to have, high
Yeah, the high
and
and the
very
very
high,
high. Yeah.
right? And so I can start putting those on the map, and I could have done it that way
And
as
now you'd
well,
have to
right?
click the search button again, right, Dave, to reset
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And sometimes, yeah, I probably shouldn't have put all these little guys on the map here. These guys, right? Makes it hard to see when I put all the pins on the map.
But if you zoom in now,
Because when you hit
now
search,
you're
yeah,
color coded for most likely to sell.
yeah, now it's yeah, exactly. And so
There you
now I'm
go.
there we are. And so I take a look at these neighborhoods. Here's very high right here, right? So I can get down to the parcel level, right?
Yeah.
If you're a door knocker, plenty of agents still are, I can really dissect the neighborhood and say, hey, maybe there's some of these neighborhoods I really want to target some of these houses here, right? And I could go ahead and say, and if I did it this way, hey, now I've got the cell score on there, right? And I could also there go down like I mentioned, and for recording date, Where was my recording date? I saw it on there somewhere.
Boy,
There
there
it
are
is.
so many ways to cut this pie up. This is,
Right. And I'll say, you know what, is less than, and I'll pop in 0101, say 2001, right? And so now let's see how many I get. Oh my God, I only have one match
oh yeah, one
because I've
match.
got
Yeah.
three different layers going, you know.
Yes, you
So
do.
maybe I
Well,
better
that
put that
square footage,
2010. Oh, that's true.
yeah, that
And
square
so this is
footage
where I
may
can
be,
play around, right? But those, you know, for instance, those nine, that's a heck of a nine I could go after. But yeah, so again, it's how, you know, what kind of volume do I want? Am I looking
yeah.
for, I had 100? Is that, you know, is that, you know, I could go 200 to 50. What am I looking for, you know, in my marketing here, right? I can play around with it, right, accordingly. Um, and you know, and the nice thing is, I'm telling you, when you do pull out the data, let's say I did export that data, of, you know, and I was using just ownership. When you take a look at the equity, when
Oh
these guys, you
yes.
know, from houses that sold in the early 2000s, in San Jose, sold for 400,
Yeah.
$500,000.
Yeah.
And we know how much are they selling now? There's a
One
1.5
five.
million,
Yeah.
right?
1.5 to one
They got
seven
all this,
based
so
on
you know,
stats.
all exactly all the equity in the world. They've been in the house for 20 years. They're empty nesters. We know a lot of people move out. We're a high tax state when they're thinking about retiring. We know they move to, you know, the Nevadas and the, you know, we all know
Idahos and Montanas and yeah.
exactly, you know, Florida and all over. You know, but this is the really kind of theme behind it here. Now, let's say now I go ahead and I export all this data. I want to start sending out some, right? I got my labels printed. I want to start sending some marketing out. Well, we've got free marketing materials for you, right? I could go right here to Oculus reports right here, right? Go on in here. And Mark, we've got unlimited Oculus reports, right?
Yeah, I mean
Um,
these, and they're all branded, meaning it's
right.
going to be your picture up there. It's going to be your contact information on each of these reports. These can be, you know, some people, I hear agents are still doing the walkarounds, right? Let's go tour the neighborhood, leave something behind, kind
Right.
of thing.
I'm just taking a look at what the zip is. I'm using I used my layer tool here, just to see 95118 is where I'm at here. You know, maybe I go ahead in here and I say, you know, 95118, and I do a zip code report.
Oh, one too many
Oop,
ones. Uh,
sorry
there
about
you go.
that. There we are. There we go. All right, and here's some
There they
reports,
are.
right? Zip codes, right? So maybe I'm gonna go grab this one's a good one. Market trends by zip code, right? And hey, I got some market material to go ahead and send on out. Take a look what's going on in this neighborhood, right? You can see this one's kind of a neat. It's got the sale to list price ratio in there, some other metrics. Download the report here. And again, unlimited free reports. So, you know, you've got not only the realist tool, right? You've also got all of the marketing you could ever need. Just go ahead and
Right.
just jump into Oculus and grab it
And
all.
I'll add another layer, another layer of frosting to this, Dave. You click
Sure.
the add favorite report button. That's that second yellow button. So basically now you've saved it because you're going to deliver one of these reports to that select group of people you found in that neighborhood, maybe once a quarter, right? You're going to bring them up to date. So Dave, what we've started from is, I need a farm and I want to stay south of 85 because I live in that area, and I like work in that area. Okay, which neighborhood is the most popular to buy in, and what type of home is the most popular home selling in that neighborhood? And now we went and looked and said, okay, but who's going to move first? Right? And we went to Realist and we used the premium mapping tools. And then we said, great, there's my 85, primary prospects that I want to get into my sphere. I'm going to start with a mailing, and I've got the perfect report for them using the 95118 zip code to drop on them and to just keep dropping seeds. You literally have gone from tip to tail, right? From
Yeah.
an idea to a finished marketing project.
Dave, there is a question. If we can review the cell score one more time,
You
just to get
bet.
an idea.
Okay.
Sure. Sure.
So
Let's go
Dave, while
pop
you're
back in.
setting up that up, I can give it some talk. A sales score is scored between 0 and 1,000. 1,000 being a very high, chances are they're moving this week, kind of thing. A 0 is going to be, Dave, more along the lines of they just moved in, they
Yeah,
they're not going to
yeah.
be
So
moving anytime soon.
yeah, you see that low score, they don't think that property's got, most likely maybe it's brand new owner just bought it. They're not gonna be putting it up on the market anytime
Right.
soon, right? And so maybe I go moderate, high, or very high, obviously. That's, they're thinking very high, obviously. They're thinking, hey, oh, that meets all the criteria
Yeah, all the
that this
indicators.
thing, they think this thing's gonna come on the market in the next 6 months or so.
Right.
And so that's how they do it. And they put in, like Mark said, a lot of different criteria is going into this thing, right? But it's an algorithm. It's their proprietary algorithm.
Yep.
And so if you want to go ahead and use that, yeah, it's right there. And you can use it this way, or I could just write down, I could just know, hey, everything above, right, 625 is a high score.
Right.
So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and not use this. I could toggle them all off and not use that, right? And I can instead
Use an
use
advanced
sell
data
score
feed.
down
Okay.
here. Where is it here? Sell score. There it is. Um, oh, it's because I have the premium map tool already
Yeah,
up.
you've already chosen it. So it
So
says,
let me
what you
just
want
turn
to
it
do?
off.
You can't choose it
Boom.
twice.
Yeah, right. So I could go up here. I could have, home equity or something. You can see, look at that, something like that.
Oh
Use
boy.
those, and also use recording date if I want it. And I could use cell score, and then cell score, I could say, you know what, a range, or maybe I just say, there it is right here. It tells me again, there are all the ranges right there. But maybe I say is greater than, and I say I want it to be greater than 625, right?
Gotcha.
So it really gives you a lot of
And now you click your search
flexibility,
button.
right? And now I'm 252.
Wow.
I don't even have in there any ownership. I took that out there, so I could go use recording date, right? I could also tighten this up if I wanted to and say, hey, let's really keep it tight, 1200 and 1400, right? So I'm controlling, right, the size of my marketing campaign, my results here, right, down to 148 now. Hit that search button. It's going to reset the pins on the map based on this new criteria, and the matches there. There we
There you
go.
go. And Dave, once again, having, don't put all your marketing effort into one neighborhood. Choose another neighborhood that also has a good prospect, maybe at a different price point, that kind of stuff. And now you got 148 over here working 3 2s at roughly 1,300 square feet, but you're doing another neighborhood over there at 4 and 5 bedroom at above, 2,000 square feet and at a different price point, obviously. But Dave, by saving all these searches as you go along, you don't have to rebuild them again, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
your
Save it
work
right
you're
here.
putting in now is
Yeah,
not lost.
exactly. Yeah, give it that save button, right? Give it the name, right? So you know what it is, right? Call it either by clients or market or whatever, and do the same thing in Matrix, right? On these guys here, hit that save button. And if you want, there's a new save search. I like to go ahead and enable it as a favorite search,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And so I, call whatever, and then all right, hit save. And when you enable it as a favorite search under my matrix and dashboard right here, it's gonna be right here, right? So
There it
my favorite
is,
search
right in the
is
middle, right
gonna,
above
right.
Monterey.
So it's already in there, and I can, if I wanted to, I could just come back in a week from now, hit update all, and I could see if there's anything new that popped in to that, right? So here it is. I call them right there, zero new, obviously, because I just saved it. But if I come back and maybe tomorrow even, it says one new, that I know a new properties popped in, right?
Right.
And so, but an easy way to go ahead and just bring up that search, all I have to do is click on it, and I'm right back on my search, right back.
Hey,
Everything's done for me,
hey,
right?
David, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Go over to the criteria for that search. Go over to criteria
Oh,
and put
okay.
in actives. Throw the
Oh, yeah,
actives in
sure.
there. Do I have any competition in this neighborhood?
Gotcha.
Now let's
Yeah,
go back to the map.
yeah, and to do that, I just hold my control key. So I can select multiple
Okay.
ones. Hold control. If you're using an Apple, it's the command key, right? And that allows me to go active. And now we can go ahead. Now look, 12 matches.
Yeah,
So let's go
there's
back to
some.
that. Yeah, there's a couple of
Okay,
listings
so
there, right?
I've got 4 other listings in there.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So there's
Competitive
some
neighborhood.
activity
Yeah,
going on, right? Hey, and maybe some of these other guys are monitoring and saying, hey, well, maybe it's time for me to put my house on the market.
exactly. Or even better, maybe one of your colleagues from your brokerage has one of those greenhouses. They've got an active listing in there. Go do an open house for them.
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And because you're the expert in the neighborhood, you know exactly what's sold in the last 60 days. You know what the average price per square foot is. You know, all that stuff. You've got all the data. And by the way, I've got a report for you as well from Aculist.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, can't stress enough how powerful of a tool the realist is, and if you did do that, I could clear this out. Let's say that is the listing. You get the listing, I could throw on here, I'm gonna do a quick drawing tool, do a radius, and maybe I go out, just go ahead and get a mile or so. Maybe I want to pull in there's a lot of renters probably nearby, right?
Oh yeah,
And
the
so
non-owner occupieds.
yeah, and so one of them, I could go ahead and say owner occupied, right? And if I say no, right, there you are. So that means those are most likely rentals on there.
That's
Um,
true.
and because it's doing, it's comparing the property address, right? With the tax billing
Yeah,
address.
where's the tax bill going?
Yeah, they're getting the mail over here. So obviously here, they're getting mail over there, but they're living here. So, it's probably an income property, right?
Right.
And then I could go ahead, print that out label wise, say to the current resident, and go ahead and attach my flyer and just make sure all the renters within a mile or so know. Maybe they've lived there a while, they're ready to buy, they love the neighborhood, and now they know, hey, I've got an open house.
Right.
So,
Dave,
um,
can you go in and just pull up an Aculist report so we can show everybody, when you get down to the property level, what kind of data do they give you? So not an Aculist report, but a realist report. Um, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Okay,
just on
gotcha.
a,
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so actually, let me just pull up a property here. Now, this is actually on every single
yeah,
listing, right below the map. You can also do it from Realist. If you select the parcel, you can click Report. Same thing. Otherwise, here on the listing itself, here it's this TX button, stands for just tax.
yeah.
This is called a property detail report,
And so
right?
you can come at it from the realist side, you can come at it from the matrix side, on or off market. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
doesn't matter,
Yeah,
right?
you
It's
just
gonna tell me, owner occupied, yes or no, right?
okay.
It's gonna give me all the characteristics here. I can
Yeah,
scroll
look.
down here.
Okay, look
Uh,
where they're getting their interesting. Look what their mailing address is.
let's see here.
Menlo Park,
Interesting. Yeah, Menlo
right?
Park, PO
So at some
Box.
point they probably told their loan, whoever they got their loan from, in their grant deed, that they were going to live there, but they got a Menlo Park address, right? We don't know the story, Dave,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
little, sort of yellow flag, and
That's another thing
you
you
may
could
want to
even
look at.
target is people, people who have income properties. Maybe they're tired of having a property manager. Maybe they're tired of
Yeah,
maybe new rent control laws coming up, and they're just tired of dealing with it. You could target another target there, and and send them some information.
exactly.
So here's some tax assessment information going
Okay.
down characteristics. And you'll notice a lot of times, so if it was different, sometimes you'll see it say MLS2 tax, 3 or whatever. So if there is a discrepancy from what the listing information compared to the tax data is, it will indicate so.
Gotcha.
Uh, and then here's the self score
There's that cell
indicator, not
score.
available
Yeah.
on this property I chose. If it doesn't have enough information, it won't give you a score. There's an AVM here. And the way you read this is they think this is automated valuation model. So there's the range they think the property's worth, right? That's the right. And what they're saying is the way you read this is they're 71% sure that they're within 10% of that number. Just so you know how to read that there. Um, um, and going down here, trends, estimated value. So a lot of information. You can actually click on this to go to any listing, that it has on there, take a look
Back in
at it.
time. Okay.
Right, back in time, previous sales, and you get recording dates of what happened here. Did they refi? Did they do some things? So you get the sale history and mortgage history as well on here. There we are. Did they ever, you know, default or anything like that? I haven't noticed a default on there. You can see they've got some refis on there. So obviously it's not as detailed as a title report, but it will give you some good information.
Right. Mm.
And yeah, and so you can see there, and then you can see as well, not only that, but they also have comparables, some market trends here, right? Some basic data. You can actually, there's January, but you can go and select different months. You can see they have some different information on here. So if you
It's
ever need a little chart for
Yeah,
some
it
working
is
on
so data
something,
rich. Um,
Oh yeah, I got neighbors. What kind of neighborhood is it? And you even have, assessor map.
yeah, if you need the
If I
assessor
want to see the
map,
assessor
yeah,
map, yeah, and a flood map
right.
as well on here. So a lot of information, right here available for you. And again, I was just doing that through Matrix, but if you were in Realist and you wanted it, you could easily do it just by selecting a parcel and bringing it up here, and it should be able to uh, basically get the property report. There it is. So you click on it, hit report, and that's going to bring you right to the property report. Bingo, same thing as what we're looking at here. Okay.
So Dave, there's always there's just so much information available. And I'm sure Alicia, if you could come off, you don't have to be on camera, but if you could provide your voice to us. Alicia is our training coordinator, extraordinaire, specialist, you name it, she is. Um, Alicia, your foundations class that you've recently started helps agents dive into the Realist tool, correct?
In our foundations course, we do have our the basic matrix, we have the CRM, the
Right.
CMA, and listings 101. However, we do have the listing office tools session. We have Realist is coming up
Okay.
in week number 4, so I can put the link to that class
That'd
in
be
the
great.
chat. Sure.
Yeah. And if you're a brokerage, if you have your office
Mhm.
needs hey, if you need us to
Absolutely.
come in, we'll teach your whole office. We'll do an hour on Realist or anything you want. Um, you know, uh, we also, don't forget we have YouTube videos out there.
Yeah, I
Um,
wanted to talk about that, Dave, because that's where, the key button here, subscribe. Because if you subscribe, as Dave and his team are putting together training videos or market performance information, or they're bringing on a great vendor, or they're bringing on, the folks from CoreLogic who make Realist and Matrix, you'll be informed. You'll be one of the first informed that, hey, we got some more training material for you.
Oh yeah, you can see right here we got a lot of different playlists. So whether you're looking for just short videos, matrix videos, or one of our vendor spotlights,
Yep.
statistically speaking, we just had Selma Hepp on there to see um, economics for what
Yeah.
was it, Core Logic, and even this one we just did. I know Jody's recording it; she's gonna give that to you. But if you came in here and searched for farming, for instance, here's basically
And there it
another
is.
well, we just, there's me and Mark, and so we recorded one. And I believe on the end of this one too, it has a little bit of a Mark. I think you did a little Canva,
Oh,
another
okay.
option there.
Yeah.
So a little extra bonus if you want to happen to take a look at that. But yeah, it's all there. A lot of work. So subscribe to our channel. We post a video. You won't have to come looking for it. It'll come to you.
Yep.
So
Dave, we got a minute and a half left. Let's open it up to the, audience to see if there's any questions we can help them with in the last couple of minutes here. Um,
sure, sure.
Hey, while we see who comes in, Dave, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Tuesday, the last Tuesday at 2, open forum with the MLS, bringing in Dave Wetzel, who's our CEO, going to talk about what are we putting together in 2025? What kind of new tools are coming in? What are we keeping an eye on? Is related to clear cooperation or the NAR settlements? Alicia just put the link there for you, the registration link. Um, Dave, that started out, what, a couple years back, and we'd have, the intimate acoustic club, right, of our 25 favorite friends. Well, now we're
Yeah.
getting like 60s and 80s, and who shows up? The board of directors, the
Yeah,
chairman of
no,
the board.
they're listening. They're listening. It's a great way. A lot of times, agents bring up stuff and it gets on the agenda for the next board
Yeah,
meeting.
sure does.
And so it's a great and there's like 150 years of MLS experience in the meeting. I mean, Mark, you're there. Robert,
Robert
one of our
Bustamante. Yeah.
compliance, our support director, Jeff McBride. Jeffrey Lambrex is our Matrix guru, and he's forgotten more about Matrix than I'll ever
Oh,
know.
yeah. No, he knows how to make it sing.
And yeah, and so it's just a lot of resources. So if you come in there, ask any question you want. But again, if you want to just sit there and keep your camera off and listen, we're not gonna call you out and be like, hey, Ted, do you have anything to say? It's a very casual experience. So.
And there's a lot of good dialogue going on between the subscribers. We sometimes just step back.
Yeah,
And
we let
the
the conversation
subscribers
happen.
engage with each other.
Yeah, we did that with the NAR implementation and learned a lot just hearing agents talk about their experience and what they're seeing out there. So
correct. I think that's it.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.